All right. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the training session on how to set up Windows Server 2019. We're here with Bekim Dauti. He's an expert in Microsoft technologies, and he's going to take us through the session while also detailing the complete process of setting up Windows Server 2019. Towards the end of the session, we'll also be hosting a Q&A window. So, without further ado, over to you, Bekim.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to How to Set Up Windows Server 2019. As you know, the Windows Server 2019 is the new release or the new operating system for the servers released from the Microsoft. So in this webinar, we will be going basically or providing basically all of the demo, starting from the how we download first the Windows Server 2019, then how we install the 2019, then how we set up basically then the Active Directory domain services, then how we set up the DHCP, and then we'll be looking at the Windows deployment services, and also we will be using the Windows deployment services to install the Windows 10, because that's the way how the deployment of the Windows operating systems in general, in particular Windows 10 and Windows Server, is being conducted or done in a business environment. Then we'll be looking towards setting up a web server and a website, okay? And then concluding this webinar with the setting up a VPN server and also a VPN connection. As you can see, there's plenty of work to be done. So within 1 hour mark, let's see how much we can do it, okay? So I'm not going to lose any more time because this is all about demo. So I'm going back to introducing myself. I'm Bekim Dauti. I have bachelors in informatics with University of Tehran in Albania, and I have masters in information technology with University of Maryland, University College Europe in Germany. Then I have several certifications from the IT industry, CompTIA A, such as CompTIA A+, Server Plus, Security Plus. Then I'm Cisco Certified Academy Instructor for nearly 17 years, and also Microsoft Certified Trainer for nearly 12 years. Currently, I work as a system administrator in Kosovo Telecom. Apart from it, I've recently founded my business, my startup, Dauti. I have more than 15 years of work experience in information technology in various organizations, in various positions. My email is bekim@dauti.com. Also, my phone number is displayed in this slide, so feel free to contact me and reach me. And with pleasure, I will be sharing whatever I know in terms of the experience, whether from the Windows, from the Microsoft technology, or from the Cisco technology. Okay, so that is all in terms of the introduction on this and also running the slides. Let's just go ahead and then start the work with the how we actually first download the Windows Server 2019. Okay, so the first thing to be done in order to download the Windows Server 2019, as you know, if you are familiar, and I guess you are, there's a portal or a website called TechNet Evaluation Center. Okay, so if you open your browser and then just start typing TechNet Evaluation Center and pressing enter, shortly you're going to reach the results which are displayed by the Bing search, and then clicking the Microsoft Evaluation Center. Depends from the internet connection. Okay, I know that I have a good internet connection, but somehow either Microsoft Web Server or in this case my internet connection is a little bit slow, but let's see. Okay, so here we are. Or maybe it's the issue with the newest Microsoft Edge. As you can see from the screen that I've shared, the browser that I'm using is the recent one, the newest one from the Microsoft, which is Microsoft Edge Insider. It's still in the development phase. Okay, might be maybe an issue with it. Anyway, I'm just trying to show you the place where you can download the Windows Server 2019. Okay, so we have reached the Evaluation Center web portal. Okay, by clicking the search and then typing Windows Server 2019 and pressing enter, it should shortly show the results. The first in the list is the Windows Server 2019. So here, this is the official portal from the Microsoft. As you can see within the URL, it starts with Microsoft.com. Okay, so Microsoft is giving for free, of course, within a specific time, which is the evaluation part, but full feature it. Okay, so as you can see, apart from Windows Server 2019, you have System Center 2019, Microsoft HyperV Server 2019, SQL Server 2019, and other products or better saying applications from the Microsoft that you can download and also running them within the specified time as a full featured applications. Okay, so clicking at Windows Server 2019, what you get is actually it's going to provide you the list of which file type you're about to download the Windows Server 2019. As you can see, there's Azure, the ISO, and the VHD as well. Okay, so it depends from you. Okay, in my case, I'm always going for the ISO, but again, you have your own choices, and you just feel free to choose which one you want. Okay, then clicking at the continue is basically a form that is mandatory to be filled. So you need to fill this form, and once you fill this form, clicking at the continue, you're going to be provided with the hyperlink, with the URL or the hyperlink in order to start downloading the Windows Server 2019. Okay, assuming that we have downloaded the Windows Server 2019, so let's just go and show something else. Okay, so as you can see now, the screen that I've shared, this is the Windows 10, and this is the Windows 10 Pro version. I guess you know, since Windows Server 10 version 1709, which is September 2017, the year, Microsoft has basically enabled the Hyper-V to run in Windows 10 Pro version as well, because prior to this version, it was only available in Windows 10 Enterprise or Windows 10 Education. Okay, in order to enable the Hyper-V, all you need to do is going to the Cortana icon or the search box, and then type in there, turn Windows features on or off, and then by opening this particular feature here, then all you need to do is specify or select the Hyper-V, and then once you select the Hyper-V, you can go along and then click OK. Obviously, it shortly is going to take some time because it is going to download some of the files from the internet and then restart your machine. But before enabling the Hyper-V, make sure that your processor on your computer is basically supporting the virtualization. Okay, if it is supporting the virtualization, then you're going to have the similar picture as you're seeing on my screen right now, which is like when simply expanding the Hyper-V, you have the Hyper-V management tools and the Hyper-V platform both checked, and then you can just click OK, and then that is basically shortly. Then after that, you're going obviously downloading the files, installing them, restarting your machine, and then once you restart, you can then go ahead and then run the Hyper-V manager. Okay, so we have so far we have downloaded the Windows Server 2019. We have set up or enabled the Hyper-V manager, and now we're just about to install the Windows Server 2019 in a virtual machine. Before doing that, we need to create a virtual machine, and just before creating a virtual machine, we need to first set up the virtual switch manager. Okay, by clicking over here, I'm about to create basically two types of the virtual switches. One is going to be the external, which is a connection to the internet. Another one is going to be internal, which is connection to the internet or the connection to the local area network. Okay, so selecting external, create virtual switch, and I'm going to call this one internet. Okay, and then access to internet as a description. Okay, I'm connected with a wired network. So in this situation, I'm going to hit apply. Okay, hopefully it's to disrupt this connection. Okay, and then hitting OK here. Going over here, internal, create virtual switch, intranet, access to local area network. Okay, internal network, and then just clicking OK. Okay, so we go now with the virtual machine. So new virtual machine. Okay, I always skip this page because it's like explanation regarding the wizard for creating the virtual machines. So I go with next. I will name this one Win Server 2019. Okay, and then specify the location where I'm going to store the virtual machines. Okay, which will be like the disk or the partition where I have the data on this machine, on this computer. In fact, once I specify the location for storing the virtual machine, I hit next. Okay, generation 1 and generation 2, as you might know, guessing that you know. If you don't, then this is simply like the first one is for testing purposes. So you can run the virtual machines in 32 bits or 64 bits. Well, and that one works based on the bias option or bias boot options. Whether the second one is the generation 2, which is basically working according to the UFI, and also it's supporting only 64 bits operating systems, and also it's something that we need to use it. While the first one, generation 1, is used for the testing purposes, the generation 2 is used for the production environment. Since we're doing over here demo, then obviously we'll be going with the generation 1, proceeding with the next. Then I'm going to use over here, since there's plenty of the stuff that I need to set up on that server, which is not recommended. Okay, based on the Microsoft recommendation is that you use a server for the specific purpose, for the specific function, for the specific role. And looking at these slides earlier, we've seen that we have like multiple roles. That's not recommended in a production environment. But because we're running over here a webinar, which is a test environment, therefore we can take that comfort and then set up more than one role in one particular server. Okay, so let me just go and add over here like 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, I will take out this, use a dynamic memory for this virtual machine, because over here I do not want to run out of the RAM in my physical machine. So 8 gigs, I think, assume that is enough. Okay, clicking next. Okay, for the time being, I will go with the internet connection. Next, and then I will specify over here the disk that I'm going to use for my server. Let's say 50 gigabyte will be enough. Why? Because according to the minimum requirements for installing the Windows Server 2019 are identical as the minimum requirements with Windows Server 2016. Meaning that you can install it in Pentium 1.4 gigahertz, and then with a 512 megabyte of RAM. And also, like with a maximum, if you're installing desktop experience with 30 gigabyte of RAM, 30 gigabyte of hard drive, you can install the desktop experience of Windows Server 2019. Whereas if you're going for the server core, that can be between 15 and 20 gigabytes of storage. Okay, so we'll be going with the next, and then specify the boot option. So I'm going to locate now the image that we have already downloaded from the TechNet Evaluation Center portal. Okay. Hitting next and then finish. Okay, so here we are. Now so far we've created the virtual machine, specified all the parameters that we simply need in that virtual machine. It's like similar or analogy like buying a server actually. So we hit start. And if you can see over here below, as you can see, it is basically started to run. So I'm going to connect now directly from the HyperV manager. Okay, so here it is. If you have experience with installing Windows operating systems, particularly from Windows Vista and basically up until the Windows Server 2019, then it's almost identical Windows setup program. It's simply just the first page over here specifying with the next, and then with install. Okay, so we'll be going with desktop experience, standard evaluation, next. Okay, once you read the end user license agreement, you need to accept that, next, custom, okay. Then over here, we're simply creating partitions, okay. So the first one is 35 gigs. And the second one, the one that was left basically, which would be like around 15. We need to install it over here, as you've seen that, okay. So the amount of free space on the selected partition is smaller than 17,835 megabytes recommendation, which is nearly 20 gigabyte. Okay, so we'll be going over here and hitting next. And then now the installation has started basically. The process over here is that it is going to install then the files first, okay, and then once the files are installed on a hard drive, then it's going to boot, and when then that one boots, then it's going to prepare basically the device drivers for device drivers needed for all of the components on this virtual machine. And then once that is done, then obviously we'll be seeing like the field for specifying the password. And once we specify the password for the administrator, then simply that is basically the end of the installation. Okay, so far the speed is quite good, okay, and acceptable. Okay, while this one is running, since we need to install the Windows 10 via the Windows deployment services, I'll take shortly a minute or two in order to create the virtual machine, okay, but not installing because we have not yet deployed the Windows deployment service on a server, but just creating the virtual machine so when the time comes, then we have basically that one ready as well. So I'm going with a new virtual machine, almost the same steps. Over here, the Win10, okay, and then a location. Next, generation 1, next. Okay, 2 gigabyte of RAM would be enough, I think. Okay, and hopefully I'm not going out of RAM in my physical machine. Next, Here, we will be not going with internet. In fact, we will be going with intranet. Why? You'll see that one later on. Next. Over here, 35 gigabyte of storage, hard drive. Next. And then here we don't specify basically booting from the CD, DVD, ROM, or from the image. In fact, install an operating system from a network-based installation server. So this one will be selecting, hitting next, and then finish. Okay, let's see where we are. Almost done. So the installation has been, the installation of files has been completed. To take out now this one, because we've done that part, hitting at the media, then over here we can eject basically this file. But we will be waiting a little bit more, although the rebooting has taken place, and then this is then coming from the hard drive and not from the ISO file. Okay, but anyway, to not create some issues, let's just wait a few more seconds or a minute. Okay, so it's setting up the devices, the services, and then once this is done, we will be seeing the screen for setting up the password for the administrator. And once that is done, as I said earlier, the installation is concluded or completed. Meanwhile, if any one of you is in front of your computer, feel free to follow these steps, and then why not at the end of this webinar have almost identical setup as I'm going to show in this webinar. Okay, so we'll be setting up the password. If you have taken the Microsoft courses, then obviously you are aware and you know what's the generic password that Microsoft is quite often using. Okay, so connect. Here it is. Voila, we've completed the installation, and we are about to see the desktop of the Windows Server 2019. And if this is the first time that you're seeing the desktop of Windows Server 2019, then you're going to be surprised for good. Why? Because it's identical as Windows 10. But this is Windows Server. Okay. A few more seconds. Okay, setting up the network. And as you can see, I'm connected to the internet now, internet access says. Okay, Server Manager, the beauty of the technology is that every name, every acronym is basically self-describable. And as you can see, Server Manager is a center console for managing the server. In this situation, or in this case, the 2019. Okay, so this is newest tool that Microsoft has released, and it's called Windows Admin Center, in order to manage the service remotely. Okay, for the time being, I'm going to close this one. Okay, why? Because we have some post installation or initial configuration of a server before we start deploying roles over here. Okay, so what we're doing over here is basically within the Server Manager, in the server pane, hitting the local server option, and then here is like doing some initial configuration before we set up or we start deploying the roles in this server. And this is very crucial. So always this is kind of a mandatory task to be done. First, I always go with the Internet Explorer Enhanced Security configurations from on to off. although it's not recommended to be used Internet Explorer for surfing the web on the server, but occasionally you might need to go to a particular website of a particular manufacturer or for particular setup. Therefore, when you use that, then actually you're not annoyed from the several confirmations that you need to do in order to put out the stuff that you're accessing from the web on a trusted site. Okay, and then actually, okay, myself is going to go with the European, because I'm currently in Europe, in Kosovo, so I will be going with the time zone, European time zone. Okay. Okay. Then over here, remote desktop, we need to enable this one. Okay. As you can see, it says it is checked by default. Allow connections only from computers running remote desktop with network level authentication. It's recommended and is highly secure. But because this is a test environment, we will uncheck this one. Just can make sure which user is okay. The administrator already has an access. Clicking OK, apply, and OK. A remote desktop is enabled. Why we don't see over here off, we don't see over here the European time zone, is because the refresh has not taken part yet. Okay, so hitting over here is actually now refreshing whatever changes we've done over here. Okay, and then servers, they do have IP addresses, but they need to have fixed IP addresses or static IP addresses, not dynamic IP addresses. Why? Because it's actually a server, a machine that serves the services to the clients. Okay, and just because of that, for the sake of high availability of the network services, we need to set up a static IP addresses. Okay, so hitting over here, and then I will first rename this one as Internet. Okay. And then properties, okay, I will take out the IP version 6 because we're not using the IP version 6 in this webinar, okay, and then go with the IP version 4 and then set up this one. But before doing that, I'm very much interested to know what IP address has been received from my home router, okay, by the DHCP and the wireless router. IP config, okay, it's the 32. Okay, so I will set up that one. Pardon, it's okay, and then over here, I'm going to have as a DNS. Pay attention which IP address. Okay. And then also this. Let's see what we're going to have. Okay, it says problems. I don't think it should be problem. Anyway, let's wait for it. Although I can confirm over here that I have internet access. Okay, so I'm closing this one. Okay, so this is done. Okay, and I can test by clicking here. Okay, taking out this one over here, putting up Google. Okay, let's see. Yes, I'm on the internet, and that is good. Okay, a few more things. Okay, that's good. Closing that one, closing this one, and the other thing to be done over here is basically changing the name over here, changing the name of a computer, which is changing the name of a server. Okay, although this is virtual server, actually it's actually a machine. Okay, so we will be going over here with Win server. Okay, 2K19-DC. Okay, as a domain controller. Hitting that one, okay. Okay, close, and restart now. In fact, okay. I can remove now this, and this thing it will not show up anymore in this virtual machine. Okay, log in. Super. Let us test the remote connection, okay, with the server. As you can see, every time that the server starts, automatically the server manager also starts. We can manage that from here. Click, hit manage, server manager properties. Do not start server manager automatically at logon, hitting this one, and also pay attention at the time interval for the refreshing, okay? You can minimize this one as well if you want, okay? And then now that I'm about to connect remotely, so I'm closing this one, okay, and then bringing the remote desktop connection, okay, and then putting the IP address, okay, if I'm not wrong, okay, this one, administrator, password. Okay, so, okay, it says the identity of the remote computer cannot be verified. Do you want to connect anyway? Why? Because we're using the by default certificate, and then it is basically something that we have not set up. No certificate in order to validate and verify the connections to the servers remotely. But because we are in a testing environment, then all we'll be doing is like hitting this one, then ask me again for connection to this computer, and then clicking yes, and shortly we are inside of the server, but this time we are actually connected remotely and not through the console of the Hyper-V manager. And this is how we'll be working basically on this server. So I'm going to close this one, server manager. Pay attention, I earlier played with the properties. Okay, so I'm closing this one. And then also, I'm going to turn off the server purposely. Okay, shut down. And as you can see, the difference between the server 2019 and the Windows 10 is that whenever you turn the Windows 10, you're not going to be asked, okay, to choose a reason why. And server, the servers, you always need to have a reason why you're shutting down your server, okay, or why you're simply restarting your server. And then all this information then is going to be basically recorded in the event viewer. Okay, so continue over here. Okay, and then as we can see, now the server is off. And reason why it's off, because I need to go to the settings. Okay, and here add another adapter, because currently I have only one of that is connected to the internet. So I need to have another one for the LAN. Okay, so add here. Okay, connect this one to the intranet. Okay, and then hit apply, hit OK, and now let's start the server. Okay, so the checkpoint is something that is being done actually automatically in order to sort of a system restore point, to create sort of a system restore point. In this case, we'll be going to continue. Okay, but some merging is taking place in order to the newest system restore to be merged with the previous one. Okay, hopefully it's not going to take much time of ours. Okay. Okay, so merging succeeded. And as we can see over here, also the server is up and running. Let us try the remote desktop. Okay, let me put this one to the taskbar. Okay, and then bring that up. Okay, so we are in. So the servers usually are within the server room or data center. So it's not that we need to go always to the server room or to the data center in order to set up or configure the server. Actually, they are made to manage them remotely, and that is something that we're doing here now. Okay, so let us go to the networking part and see whether the second network adapter has been added. Okay, here it is, the internet, the one that we've added earlier, and this one is the intranet. Okay, now here we need to set up an IP address, and in this case I'm going to use some other network, 172.16.0.10. Okay, 172.16.0.1 is a default gateway. And as a DNS, pay attention, okay, it's actually the IP address of this server, okay, which is the IP address of the server for the LAN and not for the internet. Okay, hitting OK over here. Obviously, it's a warning. Yes, close. Okay, let's just move on over here. We're done with this part. And now we are starting to deploy roles in this server. As you can notice now, the server manager did not come up by itself as it was the case when we first installed or restarted this server. So we're going to start or launch the server manager from the start menu. Okay. Okay, we are going to use add roles and features option over here and configure this local server area. Okay, again, another before you begin part of the wizard, which is add roles and features wizard. Hitting next. Role-based or feature-based installation. Why? Because actually we're using remote desktop connection, but we're configuring or setting up the roles from the server itself. If we would be using the server manager, either of a client computer or from some other server, then we can basically set up then remote desktop service installation. But since we're doing the installations from the actual server, then the first option does the work for us. Next. Okay, as we can see now, we're having these IP addresses. One is for the internal and one for the external network. Okay, then the name of a server. Next, first we need to set up the Active Directory domain services so we can set up the domain controller. Hitting that one. Okay, the features that are basically part of the ADDS role. Okay, next. Nothing over here within the features. Okay, and then obviously this is some additional information regarding the connection of ADDS on the Azure side. Okay, next, and then hitting this one in case that the role requires restarting. Yes, and then install. Okay, so let's see how much time is going to take over here. It should be short. So I can use this time to answer questions if there are questions. Okay, so far so good. Okay, shortly, what is Active Directory Domain Services? Okay, so Michael is asking what's the difference between enabling remote desktop as a role versus enabling it from the server manager. Okay, so Michael, first let me see whether I have understood it correctly. Your question. Right now, I'm connected to the server via the remote desktop connection, and the remote desktop connection tool is actually from the client, from the Windows 10 computer. Okay, I've enabled the remote desktop connection on the server, so I can use the remote desktop connection from the client and accessing basically remotely the server. And then you're asking what is the difference between enabling it from the server manager, which we have actually done, and the remote desktop as a role. Then the remote desktop as a role is that by default, you can establish two simultaneous connections to a server or per server. This is basically by default from a Microsoft. But if you want, let's say that you are a team of 10 system administrators, then simultaneously or within a day, all of you you need to have a remote access to the same server, and you're not closing the connections when you're out. Okay, then you need to set up the remote desktop service or the role within the server, so that you can then set up the certificate. Remember the one that when we actually use the remote desktop server, it says it did not verify the connection with the server. So when you set up the certificate and when you set up the gateway with the remote desktop gateway, and then the remote desktop host connection and set up all of that stuff, then actually you can have multiple. Basically depends from the license that you have, but at least you can have more than two simultaneous connections or more than two connections that you can use actually to access remotely the server. I think I've answered your question. Okay, because thank you, you've already explained that one. Okay, so since this is done, we hit over here close. Okay, and then there's some post configuration, and that is called promote this server to a domain controller. Okay, let's see what we have over here. Okay, now we need to set up the domain, which is a forest. Okay, but think of the forest that you have, like forest, you have the tree, the domain tree, and the child domain. Okay, so we will be calling this one quick.local. Okay, next. Okay, so we have the we need to set up the password for the directory services restore mode in case something goes wrong. But just one thing over here. Okay, pay attention to the forest functional level and domain functional level. Okay, over here there's no 2019. Let's see below. There's no 2019. Okay, why? I was just going through the article today, which was from a guy that is working for Microsoft, and he was simply telling that actually Microsoft has done the development from the Active Directory domain services, and why? Because they it looks like they have reached the if I can say the perfection of this particular feature on the Windows Server. Why? Because for the first time, Active Directory the domain services was introduced in Windows 2000 Server, and since then Microsoft has invested a lot of the effort in development. And indeed, there is no such change in between Windows Server 2016 and Windows Server 2019 when it comes to the Active Directory domain services. Therefore, the forest functional level of Windows Server 2016 does the work in Windows Server 2019 when it comes to setting up and deploying the Active Directory domain services. Okay, we go with the password. If we need to recover and restore, basically. Okay. Next. As you know, if you have the experience setting up the Active Directory domain services, the DNS is basically part of the deploying the ADDS. Okay, so we go with the next here, and let's see what is going to be offered by the ADDS automatically, and the DNS as well as a NetBIOS domain name. Okay, that's good. Quick, no need to change. Okay. Now with the paths regarding the default location. Okay, next. No need to change there. Next again. It checks for the prerequisites, whether we have met the prerequisites in terms of deploying the ADDS. In fact, in terms of the promoting this server to a domain controller. Okay, shortly we're going to have the result, which I guess is going to be successful. Okay, says all prerequisites check passed successfully. Click install to begin installation. Hitting install, and that's actually started. Okay. Now it's basically installing all the files and the settings that this particular domain controller is needing, and then it's going to restart. Remember when I've checked the restart, the server, in case the role is requiring, is going to restart, because Active Directory domain services requires the server to be restarted once it is completed. And then after the server is going to be restarted, you're going to notice that when we log into this server, actually we're going to log into the domain controller, okay, and not to the local server. So far, we've been working on a local server, and now after setting up the Active Directory domain services, we're actually are going to sign in or log in to a domain controller. And just for information, with the respect, if you know that one, that the domain controller is a machine that in a secure way is authenticating the users and computers and peripheral devices, and also like the network services on that particular domain. And domain is simply a logical grouping of a particular network environment. And the users, the computers, the peripheral devices, the network services are all this basically considered as the objects, looking from the perspective of the Active Directory domain services. Okay, few more things, and this needs to be restarted now. So it's configuring the DNS server service on this computer. Okay, so far so good. Once the server restarts and then is up and running again, and we once we sign in, we will be straightforward going with the DHCP, setting up the DHCP, so then we can deploy the Windows deployment service. And then once we complete the Windows deployment service, we're going to test that by trying to install the Windows 10 from the Windows deployment services. Okay, and that is basically, as I said earlier in this webinar, that is actually how the deployment of the operating systems in businesses is basically being conducted. But in a friendly format, I will repeat once again that in production environment, based on the recommendations from the Microsoft, it's not good to have multiple roles on a single server. Okay, because that's why we have like the names: domain controller, and DNS server, a DHCP server, database server, mail server, collaboration server, firewall. Okay, so all of this stuff is actually WSUS server for Windows updates, a Windows deployment server, and stuff like that. Okay, close over here. Okay, and then this one is actually now restarting. Pardon. Okay, let's just check here when the server is up and running. But obviously, there are some updates going on before the sign-in screen is showing up. Okay, as you can see now, over here. We can check with whether we're going to have access. Okay, super. Can hit remember me. Okay, see now this is like when the first time we made the remote connection to the server. Okay, so Michael, here's the answer that we've provided earlier. Yes. Okay. Here's that update that is taking place in order to set up the ADDS. Okay, bear with me. A few more seconds and it's done. Okay. Right click in this one, system. Okay, let's see. We don't have that information here. We'll be having here. Okay, properties. Okay, pay attention now. This is the domain, quick.local. So we are now in the domain controller. Okay, let's move on. We have more work to do here. Server manager. Now we're setting out the DHCP. Okay. So now the ADDS should be listed over here as well once all this information is being refreshed. Okay, so the more roles we actually install in the server, obviously the load on the server is going to be higher as well. Okay, let's see, still refreshing, but let me just see whether, yes, okay. And meanwhile, check ADDS and DNS, both are over here. You can go to tools, and then we have here Active Directory users and computers, and we have also the DNS. Let's go here and set up a user. And actually, you can see how you set up a user. Okay, so we are at the Active Directory users and computers. Expand this domain, hit the users. Okay, these are the default users that the ADDS has actually created. And the more roles and the more applications, the client server application you install, the more default users are going to be, accounts are going to be added over here. So right clicking here, either here on the white space, and then new user. Okay, this user is QuickStart. Okay, and then QS, next, and then setting up the password for the user. Okay, it's actually it's the practice is that the user must change the password next login, but because we're doing testing over here, password never expires. Next, finish. Okay, right clicking here and then going to the properties, and then over here the member of it's domain user by default, but we will be making this one as the domain account, domain admin member. Okay, and also like remote desktop. Okay, remote desktop user as well. Okay, here they are. Apply. Okay, that's it. Close this one. This is how we create users and how we basically play with the properties of the users. Let's move on. Let's see. Okay. Okay, author, thank you. Role-based or feature-based installation. Next. And then proceeding next. DHCP. Here it is, the DHCP server. Okay, adding the features of the DHCP. Moving with next. No features here. Next. Next again. And then hitting this one, although this role, from my experience, does not require the server to be restarted, but in any way, okay, install. So the installation of the DHCP server has started. The DHCP, the dynamic host configuration protocol, as you know, it's actually a protocol, or in this case, a server, or is a service, network service, that assigns automatically IP addresses to the clients. Okay, and the clients are actually the host on that particular network. In this situation, in our local area network, meaning that this DHCP server, actually this server, which is now domain controller and DHCP server, is going to assign IP addresses to the clients, and for us, the client is going to be the Windows 10 installation via the network. So closing this one, more work to be done over here. Complete the DHCP configuration, hitting this one. Okay, let's see what we have, like this step, which is actually authorizing now with this in this domain with this user, the DHCP, and committing this one. Okay, done. Creating security groups, authorizing DHCP server, close. Okay, now let's see here. Okay, when this is going to be refreshed, then this one is basically actually going off. Now let's go to the DHCP, because we have a little bit of work there, which to check what we have in DHCP, particularly the scopes. Okay, so expand this one, and then here we are, the IP version 4, and we're using the IP version 4. Right click on this one, new scope. Okay, next, and then we will say QuickStart DHCP server. Okay, and then actually, to make it faster, let's just do this one. Next, Start IP address. Okay, it is 172.16, okay, 0 and 1. And then 172.16, 0 and 254. Okay. Next, so this is the range of IP addresses that are going to be assigned to the clients, okay, by the DHCP server. Next, now add exclusions and delay. Remember that we have actually an IP address in our server, which is a static one, and that is 172.16.0.10, if I'm not wrong. So we'll be excluding 172.16.0 from 5, okay, to 172.16.0 to 15, okay, and adding this one, okay, because that serves as a reserved IP address. So we don't want that IP address to be assigned by the DHCP server to any particular client on the network. Next, least duration will be leaving it as it is by default, which is actually 1 week. Okay, next, configure DHCP options. Okay, so yes, well, I want to configure these options now. Which are those options? Configure the DNS server and WINS server. Okay, next, what is the default gateway? It is 172.16.0.1. Add. Next, this is the DNS. As you can see, it is actually basically automatically identified by the wizard in this case. Okay, and this is the DNS. Remember when we set up the ADDS and DNS as well on the server? This is the IP address. So next. And then, okay, the difference between the DNS and the WINS. The DNS is the newest, okay, as the DNS is a domain name system protocol, that is from the 80s, and that is part of the Internet of TCP IP protocol suite. But as the DNS naming resolution is actually the newest stuff, which is being used by the Active Directory domain services, and in comparison to the WINS, which is using the net bias and then then LAN manager host naming resolution, okay? So we don't have WINS, but in case you have like Windows 98 computers in your, or Windows Millennium editions, okay, in your network, then and then if you have WINS server set up in order to do the name resolution of those host names, then definitely you need to specify over here the WINS server as well. We don't have that one, so we just go with next. Okay, yes, we want to activate this scope now. Here in next and finishing. Let's see. Coming over here, clicking this one, okay, and then the address pool over here, it's something like says active, but this blue here, let's see, refresh now. Okay, all is set, super, excellent. Let's just close this one. Let's move on. So Active Directory, DHCP, DNS. By default, it is file server. By default, there is no need to set up over here if you want to set up a file server. Okay, so now we go with the Windows deployment services. Next again, at the end, Windows deployment services. Hitting this one, adding the features of WDS. Next, no features here. Next. Okay, we need both deployment server and transport server. Okay, next, and install. This role also doesn't require a restart of a server, so that was the reason why I did not take the option for restarting the server. Okay, so far so good. Okay, meanwhile, I need to go over here and actually do something here. Okay, where's that one? No, this is okay. So I'm in the server. I need to move a little bit this one. Okay, so I need to go here in my local computer and then locate the image for the Windows 10. Okay, and share it. Okay, I need to share this one. Okay. Okay. Everyone, why? You'll see why I need to. Okay, share. Okay, private. Okay, done. That's good. Let me see which IP address I'm using. IP config. Okay, I'm using 11. That's good. Super. Let me go back to the server. Closing this one. Okay, bringing up this one here. Okay, closing now this. And let's see what we have in terms of the configuration. Going to tools and then Windows deployment services. Here it is. Okay, so this is the Windows deployment services. Okay, expanding this a little bit. Coming over here at the server. Okay, you see this triangle with that exclamation mark there. Okay, configure the server. Okay, so here it is. We need to configure this server in order to make it ready to deploy installations remotely. Integrated with Active Directory option, obviously, yes. Okay, remote install. Let's just go here and do something. Okay, going to the disk management. Okay, in the disk management, you will see that this is actually the data part of the partition, if I can say it, which is not formatted. Okay, so we format that one. Let's say data. Okay, 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 super. That is done. Closing this one. Okay, and now let's just copy this and then going to the file explorer. Okay, this PC over here. Actually, new folder, pasting this one, hitting this one here and here, copy this one, bring it here, and then paste it here. It's actually similar to coming over here, going within the D drive. Okay, and then this is that. Next. Okay, says, pay attention over here. If dynamic host configuration protocol is running on this server, check both of the following check boxes. So both of these need to be checked if the DHCP is running on this server. If the DHCP is not running on this server, or if there is a non-Microsoft DHCP on your network, okay? So if a non-Microsoft DHCP server is running on this server or some other server as a DHCP, then actually you need to then check the first box and manually configure the DHCP option 60, which is the port that the DHCP is using actually. Okay, so checking only this one and then configure then the connection of the DHCP with the Windows deployment services. But because we have the DHCP server running on this domain controller, both are checked. We go with next. Okay, so do not respond to any client computers. Obviously, this is not an option for us because we need to deploy the installation of the Windows operating system on the clients, and we need to respond to the clients. Okay, respond only to the known client computers. Obviously, this is for the production, but we are testing environment, so we will be checking respond to all client computers known and also unknown. Okay, and then next. Okay, is the final phase of the Windows deployment services to be concluded as a configuration. Okay, this did not respond to the start of the configuration in a timely fashion. Okay, finish. Let's see what we have over here. If we refresh this one, okay, it's good. And now what I need to do is actually locate now my physical computer. Why? Because I need to. Let me see. Okay. Here it is. I need to copy this one. As you can see, this is the ISO file of the Windows 10, but you need to extract this one. Okay, so I don't have a WinZip over here. So once you are extracting them, you're simply copying the extracted part. Copy, where you'll see now. Okay, so remote install, no, not here, but actually over here. Okay. Hopefully this is done fast. Okay, so far so good. Okay, closing this one. Closing this one as well, the one that is shared, and coming now here, expanding this one, install images, add install image. Okay, let's name it this one Windows 10. Okay, next, browse. We will be locating the location where we've stored that. Okay, and then sources, if I'm not wrong, yes, and this is the install. Okay, next. Okay, we have plenty of the Windows 10 versions. I'll be interested in Windows 10 Pro because we're deploying the Windows 10 Pro in a business environment. Okay, so Windows 10 Pro, next. Okay, next. Okay, so it's adding the image of only Windows 10 Pro. Okay. Once the install image has been added to the Windows deployment server, then we go with the adding of the boot image. Okay. And then once that is done, we'll be testing remember the virtual machine I've created earlier in this webinar for the Windows 10. We'll be testing whether that one is going to be installed from this WDS server. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. Finish. Boot image is going to be faster than the install image. Okay, so boot. Okay, next. Over here, again, Windows 10, Windows 10, next. Okay, next. Let's see now. The boot image is being added. It's much faster. Awesome. Finish. Super. This is done. We can close this, or let's just, okay. It's something that I always do, refresh it. Okay. And then now, actually, let me just remove this one. Okay. Come to this part here. Okay. So come over here and then start the Windows 10 machine. Okay. So here, I will start the Windows 10 machine and see whether the Windows 10 is actually being installed from the Windows deployment services. Remember, the network interface is the intranet. It's from the LAN, okay? And it should receive the IP address from the DHCP. Let's see, start. Okay, it started. Let me connect immediately so we see what is going on. Okay. See, I need to press F12 once it gets the IP address. Okay, let's see whether it's going to receive the IP address. Okay. It should actually. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, Terry is asking, does it matter if you use Chrome, a web browser, or Internet Explorer? So Terry, again, I will repeat that it's not recommended to serve the web on the server itself. Actually, just going to the official websites of a particular manufacturer, okay, or service provider. Yes, you can use Chrome if you feel that the Chrome is a secure browser, and then all you need to do is install on your server, and then use it that one without no issues, no problem. Let me just see whether that one, not yet. So something isn't going the way it should be. Okay, quite interesting. Why it's not doing this? Okay. Yes, if you've seen, I was using the Internet Explorer, which is the default browser in Windows Server 2019. Okay. Thank you to Terry. Okay, somehow, okay, okay, pardon. It's something that I need to do. Okay. Okay, over here, properties. I think I missed, see this one here, the DNS. Okay, actually what it does, it uses this basically the testing address for the interface. Whenever you set up the ADDS, it was supposed to be done this one right at the beginning, but it looks like I've forgotten. Okay. So in the step of setting up the ADDS, I should have set up this one. Okay. Hopefully it's not causing any issues. Let me check this one. Are we here? Okay. See, even this one here. Okay, so in this case is this one, and then this one. Okay. Yes, not coming here. Actually, this one should be good now. Okay. Coming here. We're setting this one. Okay. Okay, let me see once again. Why is that one? Why is this issue going on? It should not be actually. DHCP. I'm trying to troubleshoot this one. As you can see, it's not that easy. Huh? Refresh. Okay, scope, address pool, address leases. Okay. Let's see this one. Okay. I have this one here. Okay. Quite interesting. This one should work. Definitely should work, but because of that one, okay, what I'm going to do is this one. Okay. DHCP. Okay, this one. Task, stop. Okay, hot task start. Okay, now here, address laces. Okay, let me see now here. Reset. We turn off first this one. Turn off. Check this one here, settings. Okay, I'm seeing this one legacy, which is something. Connect. Cancel. Connect with settings. Okay. Now here, Windows 10, settings, add hardware, network adapter, add. Okay. Intranet, apply. This legacy, remove, apply. Okay. Start. Connect. Settings. Pardon. It's actually this one. Okay, very fast, very fast, very fast, very fast. Closing this one, closing this one as well. Okay, okay, this one as well. Let me just do a quick restart. Okay. There's a saying, when things are going wrong with Windows Server, just restart it. Let's see. Okay, a colleague is saying that checking the internet with internet connection, but I've checked that one. It's just because of that testing IP address of 127.0.0.1. Okay, let me just see whether that one is actually, once the server is again up and running, I think everything should be okay. Okay, let me see. Connect. Okay, let's go with the password. Okay. Sources, let me just see quick. Administrator. Password. Okay. Okay. Now all is up and running. Once that is up and running, I will go here and start this one. And this should take the IP address because everything is in place. Connect. Here it is. You see? I told you. Okay, resetting once again. There's a saying, remember? Okay, here it is, voila. So it was because of that IP address. So remember, it's something that because of all this work in somehow I've missed that. So every time when you set up the ADDS, then after installing the ADDS and then promoting the domain controller to your server, once it restarts, before doing any other configuration, whether deploying a role or any feature, make sure that you have the DNS, the proper DNS, and not the loopback IP address, the testing IP address for the network interface. As you can see, 172.16.0.10 is actually the IP address that is coming from the ADDS, from the DNS, from the Windows Deployment Services server, and then the DHCP as well, because we have all these multiple roles in a single server, and then the installation is basically undergoing via the network. Okay, let's see what we have now here. Remember when we've installed the Windows Server, whether we're going to have the identical steps here as well or not. Let's see, we'll find out immediately. Okay, a little bit different. Next, we need to authenticate. Remember the domain, the universal naming convention, okay, the domain, and then the administrator, okay, and then the password. Okay, here it is, Windows 10 Pro, yes, next. Okay, so what we have here is actually set up as one. Okay, and next, voila. Okay, until this is going to be installed, let's play more with our server. Okay, two more roles, and bear with me, okay? Server manager, okay. Right now, I'm going to add the IIS, Internet Information Services, in order to make this server as a web server as well, okay? Pardon. Next, okay, IIS, web server. Add features, next, nothing to add here, next again, here as well, next, and then install. Until this is going to be installed, remember earlier it did not work the internet connection. Let me see whether it's working now. Okay, let me see. Am I connected to the internet? I should be. If the LAN is working, the internet should work as well. Okay, I'm seeing over here something. No internet access. Okay, let me see why. Okay. You see now the intranet is an identified network. It was earlier unidentified. I'm coming here. Okay. This is the problem. It should be all 8s. I'm just adding this Google DNS. Okay, let's see now. Here it is. Okay. We all learn from mistakes, okay? Yes, and then remember always, when things start going wrong, just restart your server. Okay, let's see how much we are into installing the IIS. Okay. Oh, this is done. Awesome. Okay, here it is. Now we go to Tools and then Internet Information Services. We call the console basically launch the console of the web server. Okay, and this is basically this is a default website which is running. To show you, browse. Okay, here it is. Okay, I think that I can access it from my physical machine, physical computer. Let me see. Here it is. Okay, so this is my computer, Windows 10 computer. Okay, so I'm not part of the domain, but I'm accessing it via the internet. Remember, because the server has two interfaces. One is with the internet, and another one is with the intranet, which is the LAN. So right now I'm accessing actually from the internet. Okay, so this is how we set up a web server. Now let's see how we set up a website. Okay, going back to the server. Okay, closing now this one. Okay, going to that console of the Internet Information Services Manager. Okay, right click here, add a website. Okay, but before we add this one, let's just close this one. Close, pardon, just stop actually. Okay, so default, stop. Okay, and then do some changes at bindings over here, editing. Okay, let's put the port 81. Okay, okay, close this one. And then let's go to the File Explorer, okay? And then this PC here, okay? Here with the data portion, disk, actually, do this quick website, okay? And then here, let us create a website. What we're actually going to do, okay, are you a programmer? w3schools.com. Okay, HTML. Okay, let me see what we have within the HTML. Super, this one. Okay, let's take that one. Open up a notepad. Paste this one here. Title. Change it. Quick website. Over here. Welcome to my website. Pardon. Quick's website. Okay. And this is a test website. Awesome. Let's save this one. Save as. First of all, define the location over here. Index.html. Save it. Okay, once we save that one, we close all of this. No, let us leave this one open because we need that. Come here and then add a website. Okay, so we'll do quick. Okay, and then physical path is actually in the D drive. Okay, this one here. Okay, and then this is all set. Click OK. And now quick, let's see. Browse this one. Welcome to Quick's website. Okay, now this is actually from within the server. Let me test it from here. Here it is from my computer. So this is how we set up a web server and then how we set up actually a website. Okay, that's good. Let's see how much. Okay, almost done. We will going to join this one into domain, but this is already going to be joined into domain because it is network installed. Once this is finished, we'll be basically then doing actually trying to access it, all of these services that we've enabled and configured so far. Coming back to the server, closing this one, so the website and the web server is all correct. Okay, so far ADDS, DHCP, DNS, file by default file server, IS, WDS. Okay, then we have one more thing to go, and that is the VPN. Okay, let's come here. Next, next again, remote access. Okay, this is that. Next, okay, no features. And then next, direct access and VPN. Okay, direct access is always on connection actually. In contrast to the VPN, which is virtual private network and works every time you basically establish a connection. Okay, far more advanced is direct access, and that is a Microsoft tool or invented by the Microsoft. We go with the next. But maybe some other webinar because the direct access takes more time to configure. Okay, install it. Let's see. While this is installed, I'm very much interested to see where we are with this one. Oh, super. A few more things. As you can see, it's far more faster to install Windows Server rather than the Windows 10. Okay, why? Because obviously Windows 10 comes with a lot of preloaded services. Whether in Windows 2019 you need to set up then your own services or your network services. Okay, going back to the server, let's see. Okay, we're good here as well. Okay. Let's close this. Okay, as you've noticed, this is another role that you're adding in the server, and then it's not actually requiring to restart the server. Okay, open the Getting Started wizard over here. Okay, super. Let's see, deploy VPN only. Okay. Let's see what we have here now. Right click here, configure enable routing remote access. Okay. Next. Dial up or remote access, dial or VPN, customer select any dimension feature. Okay, let's go with the custom configuration. Next. Okay, go with the VPN access. Okay, let me check this one as well. Next. Finish. Is that really okay? Okay, no problem. Let's go then over here, control panel. Okay, here. So we enabled or allow the routing and remote access. Routing. Here it is, routing remote access, domain private. Okay, let's make it public as well. Okay, and then hit OK. That's good. Let's see, start the service. Yes, start the service. Bring this up. Okay, here it is, the service is started. Okay, so we have now, actually, this is done. Okay, super. So we've configured that one. Let's see. So this is the last role that we've planned actually to run it here. Okay, reconnect this one. Okay, okay. Bear with me. A few more things to set up over here. Come on, Windows 10, come on. Okay, yes. Skip. Come on. Network, it should be on a quick.local network on the intranet or the LAN. Let's connect it. Okay, network. Okay. That's actually, it's not giving me no option there. Okay, let's move it. Connect now to save time later. No. Okay. Okay. Windows 10 license agreement, as you can see, is not coming as the post installation step. Okay, not as we've seen it when we've installed. Okay, we're going to use this PC. Let us see if we can go. No. Okay, it's asking. Okay, QS, next, and then the password. Next, again, password, next. Okay, let's just do something like test. Okay, test. Test. Okay. Okay, we don't need Cortana for time being. No. Okay, accept. Okay, almost done. So from this Windows 10 or from this client computer, we're going to first check whether this one is part of the domain. It should be, because it's actually being installed via the network. And just going back to the server, okay, and then coming this one with this one over here, and then Windows deployment services. Okay, now here, properties, client. Okay, you see, joining a domain. So if this would have been checked, then the computer would not join the domain after the installation. Without this one checked, the computer should be part of the domain. Okay, we will check that one because it was part of this webinar as well. Okay, come on, and then remember, we've created a user. Okay, and then that user is actually, let me come to the server. Okay, tools, Active Directory users and computers. And then that user is the QuickStart user. Okay, properties. Okay, he is a member of the domain admin and also remote desktop. Okay, we will try to access the server from the user itself. Okay, let me see in terms of the over here, network access permissions, allow access. Okay, apply. Okay. Okay, super. Awesome. Come on. Okay, you see, let us log in and check whether it's part of the domain. It should be, but let me see here. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, it's a little bit slower going because obviously 2 virtual machines, 8 GB one with the RAM and another one with 2 GB is like, okay, IP config. Pay attention, is 172.16 network, which is the LAN, okay, and that is good. Let me see if I can ping the server. It should actually, pardon, ping. Okay, yes, it's working. Awesome. Let me see with this one. Okay, properties. It's not on the, okay, awesome. That's good. Change this one. Okay, so when 10 client. Okay. Okay, let me try something else. Okay, it's not letting me. Okay, restart now. So we'll be joining now to the domain. Okay, escape now this one. So joining to the domain, then once we join with into the domain, we try to log in with the user account that we've created. And then once we sign in with the user account, which is a domain account, domain user account, then we will try to access the services. We'll try to access the remote connection to test the remote permissions, remote access user, remote desktop users permissions and access. Pardon. We'll test them the accessing the website, and we'll try to establish. Okay, here it is, a connection to the network. You've noticed quick.local network it was. Okay, awesome. Now let's go and then join now the domain. Okay, properties. Again, over here, change. Let's see, quick administrator and the password. Let's see, it should join the domain without no issues, hopefully. Let's see. Come on. Okay, super. Awesome. Restart again. It's mandatory to be restarted once the computer changes the name, the host name, and also joins the domain. It's mandatory actually. Now, okay. Pardon, escape. We need within the settings to take out that one to basically disable booting from the network. It should now show the, okay, other user. Here is the domain, quick. And now the user QS and the password for the user, it should allow us now a login session. So, okay, just for information, with due respect of all of your experience and the knowledge, now we're basically authenticating or being authenticated in the domain controller, which is the Active Directory hierarchical database. Before this, we've been authenticated locally, and then locally we have a security account manager, another component, local component or local database that actually is serving as the authentication service. Okay, it's taking a little bit. Okay, here it is. Voila. Now checking. Although we know that we are in the domain, but just checking again. Okay, Windows 10 client.quick.local is actually on a domain. Okay, let's see whether we can access the server remotely. Remote desktop connection. Okay, but now we are from the LAN, not from the internet. Okay, so we're going with the LAN IP address of the server. Connect. Yes. Okay, so adding the password, and now we are, pay attention, the QS is the user, quick is the domain. Okay, let me close this in order to not create conflict. Okay, come on. Until this is running, let us test the website. Okay, so the remote desktop connection works. Awesome. So we are in the server, and we need to see now the screen that it was earlier from my physical computer with the internet IP address. Okay, here it is. This is the server, but okay, but we're actually not seeing the identical screen. Why? Because you see server manager is automatically loaded. Why? Because this is the QS user. It's not the administrator. Okay, but yes, we see all of the services that we've installed so far. Okay, closing this one. Okay, and going out from this session, or leaving this one. Okay, so let us test whether we're going to access this site. Okay, but we'll not be going with the IP address. In fact, we're going with a name to test the DNS. Okay, 2K19 DC, if I'm not wrong. No, it's not going there. Pardon. HTTP. Okay, let me see with IP address first. Okay. Can't reach the space. Why? CMD ping win server 2K19 DC. Yes, it's pinging. Okay. Internet Explorer. Maybe the Edge is doing issues. Win server 2K19-DC. Pardon, I'm not typing. Win server 2K19-DC. Oh man. Pardon for all of this. Terry, maybe you were right using the Chrome browser. Okay, let's see like this. Here it is. Okay, it's working. It should work with the name as well, but I think it's the quick. Pardon. Here it is what I'm going to do. Okay, going back to the server, we can fix this issue. Okay, going to the server manager. We will be going to the DNS and add a record there with a name quick. Okay, DNS. Okay, here it is, the DNS. Here is the DNS. Okay, forward lookup zone. Okay, and here add, pardon, not here, actually here. Okay, so here add a new host. Okay, this one. Okay, so quick, and then the IP address is 176 pardon, 172.16 and 10. Okay, this one here. Okay, done. This is, and now when we go here with quick, it should work. Why it's not working? It should work with that one as well. Quick. Okay, it's not. Okay, I'll not take your time, but this one should work. Okay. Anyway, refresh this one. It should work. It should work. It should work. It's not working. Edge. This one is going immediately on the internet. Very strange. Okay. Issues with the browser. Anyway, we have tested that actually the IP address is working, and why that thing was not working? Strange. Oh, pardon. This one. Okay, super. Now, okay, so we have joined the domain. We have tested the web server. We've tested the remote desktop connection. Let us set up the VPN connection and then conclude that one. Okay. Okay. And now with this one. Okay. Hopefully this will work. Anyway, we'll be ending the. Okay, here it is how we set up this one. So by going to the Windows settings and then VPN, then new VPN connection name, quick VPN. Okay, server name. Let's put it the IP address to not have issues. Okay, username and the password, QS. Okay, and then username and the password. Okay, yes, QS, and also like the password. Okay, save. Let's see now here. Connect. Connection could not be established. You might need to change the network settings for this connection. Network settings. Okay, because we're actually 2 hours. Let us leave this issue as the homework for all of you. Before thanking you for being like for almost 2 hours with me. Actually, I'm apologizing for running too late, but you yourself had witnessed it, how much work we've done within these 2 hours. Okay, so we have managed to download, to install, create the virtual machines, set up the Active Directory domain services, the DHCP, the DNS, the file server. It was automatically by default to set up the IS, the website, then the remote access, the VPN connection, the WDS as well. Install the client. Actually, we're running from the client. Install the client from via the network, and a few more other things we did it basically. So again, apologize for running late, and thank you very much for spending these 2 hours with me. Wishing you all the best, excellent health, and a lot of success in your professional work. Thank you very much.
All right. And with that, we conclude the training session. All right. So for everyone who joined us, we will be sending out the recorded version of this training session to everyone who signed up for it. Thank you, Bekim. We definitely look forward to the next training session with you. And
God willing, thank you very much also for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience. Appreciate very much.
you're welcome. And thank you to everyone who joined. Thank you. Bye bye.